Welcome back into the Section YY8 podcast. I'm Negative Niece, joined by Austin Harbin. Harb is not in a good mood, so I'm trying to lighten him up here a little bit. But we are recording. It is here 9:44 on Wednesday night, and the Celtics just blew another lead in a game in the playoffs to the Knickerbockers. Not a good night, Harbin.
Absolutely pitiful. I'm going to try to censor my thoughts as good as I can. Two straight 20-point leads at home to a team that you're better than, and you fall in love with the three ball while you're up a million, and you go cold. And credit to New York, they made winning plays, and Boston just pissed down their leg. It's absolutely inexcusable, especially for a team that's been there before. Literally last year, won it all. With as much experience as this roster has, it's absolutely baffling. I mean, they went 1 for 15 down the stretch, and the one make was Tatum's dunk to go up by one with 18 seconds left. Just, yeah, I don't have any words. And all the and I'm gonna get my damn haters and losers out of the way early. This is how we're starting.
Okay, let's go.
When the Celtics win and they beat the shit out of everybody, my phone's silent. My phone doesn't move. By God, when the Celtics blow a 20-point lead, my damn phone battery dies because it's vibrating so much. Because I've got chirpers like guys I work with, damn Landry Stanton, and all these other. Yeah, I'm calling Landry out. He sent me a bunch of damn laughing faces directly after the game was over. And I was like, you little. God.
Wow. Anybody else been texting you? Is he the only one you want to call out? Let's call him out.
Well, let's see here.
Let's get them all out.
I put my phone on Do Not Disturb.
Oh man, that's bad.
Yeah, I am down bad.
That's bad.
The Celtics were minus 900 to win this series before it started on sportsbooks. And you lose two games at home with a 20-point lead in each one? Pathetic.
It's unacceptable, really.
Pathetic. I'm looking at you, Jason Tatum. I'm looking at you, head coach Joe Mazzulla, Drew Holiday. Hell, Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown played great in the first half. Damn church mouse in the second half.
Unbelievable. Wow, you caught me unprepared there. Hater and loser for me. I do have one. I had a couple nominees. Um, I guess the one that I wanted to talk. I don't know who this person is, but I sat with Thomas at the game on Sunday, the Tennessee Auburn baseball game. And there was this guy sitting in front of us, and he had some kids with him. You could tell he was aggravated. He had younger kids with him, and they were a handful. I mean, the mom was constantly up and down. He was up and down. The guy he was with, I mean, they were just fighting these kids all day long. Moral of the story, maybe don't bring kids that are under the age of, three of them under the age of 6 to a baseball game or a sporting event. That might be a good thing to do. But anyways, he gets up and he's got one of the little girls, or this older man. He's like, he can't find his wife. He's like looking around. You can hear, and he picks up his phone and he's trying to get a hold of Audrey or whatever her name was. Well, this guy with the kid walks behind him and just yells at him and says, "Get the F out of my way." The whole man kind of steps back and looks, and the guy sat down, and old man said, "Are you talking to me?" Tennessee wasn't even losing at this point. We had just won the extra inning game. Everybody should be in a great mood. He said, "Are you talking to me?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm talking to you." And he was like, "Well, why didn't you just ask me?" And he looked at the guy that cussed the old man out, looked at his wife and said, "What's this guy's problem?" I was like, Thomas and I were baffled. We could not figure out, like, it's kind of like the meme where the guy's riding the bike and he sticks the spoke in the wheel and wrecks himself, and he looks up and like, "Why did I wreck?" Like, guy cussed the guy out who was minding his own business to get the F out of the way. and then looks at his wife and said, "What's this guy's problem? Why is he mad at me for me cussing at him?" Anyways, don't be that guy. Like the guy did nothing to him. That guy's a hater and a loser. And he was in a bad mood the whole rest of the game. And obviously, everybody else got in a bad mood because Tennessee started losing again, not playing well. So, anyways, that's my hater and loser on the fly. I might have another one or two later on in the show once we go on, but that was the first. I told Thomas. I looked at Thomas. I said, "That guy's a hater and a loser. What an idiot."
Yeah, asshole.
He's lucky that the guy he was talking to was about 40 years older than him, but that guy was pissed.
That's probably why he said it.
Yeah, probably.
Well, last few days of at least my sports world have been absolute torture. It reminds me that I should have never got into them in the first place. Like, those people that show up to a Super Bowl party, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that's that Mahomes guy," and then there's
Yeah.
Taylor Swift's boyfriend. Those people must be so happy. Ignorance is bliss. Like sometimes I just wish I didn't care as much as I do about certain sports teams and universities and professional organizations as I do. It sucks. It sucks. Celtics are down 0-2. UT baseball looks like they're laying on a damn cooling board right now. I decided to dabble and bet the Kentucky Derby, not just the Kentucky Derby, but every race that
You
ran
did the
before.
Oaks and everything.
I did all of them, and I lost every single bet I placed, which is impressive. Um, the only thing that saved my weekend was Scotty Scheffler winning by 1 million. That was fun. And even that, nobody cares about the Byron Nelson anymore. It used to mean something.
Harb, your
It's
life
hard.
right now sounds like the Hank Jr. song. I just looked it up here to make sure I had the right one. I've been down. Blew my last $20 on an Oilers football game. Only lost by a half a point. Nothing ever goes my way. That's you right now.
Grub wrote that one.
Grub wrote that.
Yeah. I'm sorry. You caught me at a bad time. We
It
started
is.
recording roughly 12 minutes after the end of the Celtics game. I'm on edge.
I love it.
I stole,
Raw
I
emotion.
stole, I stole one of my roommate's girlfriend's White Claws out of the fridge just to decompress just a hair. Uh, man, it's tough.
Tough
It's tough.
spot. You are right. We've had this conversation, me and my uncle and some others. Like, imagine the life, like all the money we spend on sports teams and participating, and the stress that you just imagine the stress. I remember last year going to Arkansas, and I had this Fitbit on that I wear, and I remember like during the game, like I could not get my heart rate under like 110 beats per minute the whole game. Well, it was because I was freaking yelling and pissed off and stressed out, and um like the toll that it takes on us that we go through. But when you win, it makes it worth it somewhat. But man, when I've been where you are, Harbin, the Cubs have struggled for years, the Vols have struggled for years, and then the Cubs turned it around and made the playoffs, won the World Series, kept making the playoffs. Then they turned down. Then the Vols got better here for a while and everything. And it kind of made the sting of the Cubs not being so hot here lately better. Now the Cubs are in first place, and Vols football's good, basketball's pretty good, baseball's struggling this year right now. So it's kind of taking the sting off for me just a little bit of the baseball team struggling that the Cubbies are in first place. Although we lost 2 out of 3 this week. The Cubs lost 2 out of 3 this week to the Giants at Wrigley, so they'll have to bounce back this weekend in New York. I think they're playing the Mets this weekend, but I feel your pain, Harbin.
Yeah, dude, it's and on top of this, everybody knows I'm a Cowboys fan. It just is what it is. It's one of
This
those.
makes it worse.
We got George Pickens today,
Saw
so I'm
that.
gonna have to walk back every single comment I've ever made about George Pickens, considering he played at Georgia, played for the Steelers, and just is a notable asshole. So I'm gonna have to figure out a way to spin all those three into it being in my favor. But
You'll
it's good to
figure.
pick up. I mean, we give up a third rounder, and we're probably only gonna have him for 1 year. But I don't hate it. I mean, third rounder when your wide receiver two is probably gonna be Jalen Tolbert. Yeah, yeah, it's probably a move you need to make,
Yeah.
especially since you didn't draft one with your 7 draft picks. But whatever. I mean, who's counting there?
Sad.
Is what it is, man.
This man, I feel you, man. You'll get through it. Just you just got to keep on keeping on, man. It'll maybe the Celtics will go to MSG and win a couple here and turn your spirits around.
But hey, if sports are some of my biggest problems, I'm doing okay. So,
Yeah, that's true.
it's some things. You know that meme where some things is really big in letters and sports is real little. Some things are bigger than sports, man.
That
That's
is
what you
true.
tell yourself when your teams are losing.
That is true. Well, speaking of teams losing, let's get into it here so we don't spend an hour and 50 minutes moaning and complaining about how bad our teams are. Let's try to spend just a little bit of time focusing on one that's not playing well. Tennessee baseball. They're struggling a little bit right now, Harb. Lost four out of their last five series, lost three series in a row at home. Um, honestly, probably should have won that series at LSU. I don't know if we've recorded since that series. I don't think we have. Um, really should have won that game on Friday night at LSU that ended at 2:30 Eastern time in the morning. But two Dean Curley errors and Nate Snead not being able to close the door allowed the Tigers to win. The Vols bounced back on Friday night, won that game, and then looked pitiful on Sunday. A theme going forward here, and then they come back home and beat somebody in the midweek. I can't remember who it was. Bellarmine, maybe. I can't remember. And anyways, they come back home and play Auburn, and the whole weekend was just chaotic. I guess you might want to call it, just because the weather was awful. For those who've been under a rock, the weather was terrible last weekend. A lot of rain, thunderstorms, constantly in East Tennessee last weekend, the Knoxville area. Friday night, my dad and I were going to go to the game, Harb, and the game was at 6. They moved it up to 5:30 because of potential weather. Then they moved it back to 6:30, so we went to grab a bite to eat. Sat here, and then they announced that the game was going to be at 8 o'clock. Well, we're sitting here looking at the weather app, and there's a huge line of storms with red and yellow in it coming through, and it's going to hit about 8:15, 8:30, and we're like, what are they doing? Well, they start the game, and Liam Doyle pitches one inning, Tennessee's ace, gives up a two-run homer. Auburn comes out to take the field. Umpires say the mound's unplayable. And they go into the locker room, never hit the field again the rest of the night because it rains for 3.5 hours. Then the next day they come out and it's raining again and they play a doubleheader. So now we're without Liam Doyle. Auburn's got their number one going. So right out of the gate, Tennessee's in a hole. And we'll talk about playing Friday night next. But just overall, it was a bad weekend for Tennessee. They were able to come back. They lost game one, 6-1, can't hit. Came back in game two, which I went to go watch game two um, there at Lindsey Nelson Saturday. And that, again, weather played an issue. Game was delayed or postponed in the top of the 10th, tied at 4. So they had to come back on Sunday. Tennessee eked out a win in 11 innings, 5-4. But then came back in game two, but game three of the series on Sunday and scored one run again. And that was on a Cannon People solo home run in the sixth inning or fifth inning or something. I can't remember. Um, I ran a poll, Harbin, on Twitter. Believe there was 317 votes in this poll, and I believe 44. And I'll put it on screen for those watching, but for those listening, I'm gonna pull it up here. But I believe 44% said I asked the question, "What is wrong with Tennessee baseball? Pitching, fielding, hitting, or coaching?" And for those watching, you can see it on the screen, but the winner was hitting at 44%. Coaching came in at last place with 9%, fielding at 18%, and pitching was 29%. But Tennessee's offense, Harbin, they're really. I've listened to some podcasts this week, read some stuff about it. The main theme and takeaway from Tennessee's offense on the baseball field right now is it's, quote, broken. They've got some really good hitters at the top of the lineup. The bottom of the lineup's a little iffy, but now they're not hitting for power. The clutch hitting has vanished. Take, for instance, Saturday. Auburn game's tied, I think, 2-2. Auburn starts an inning with a Dean Curley error, runner on first. He subsequently steals second, steals third, wild pitch, scores a run. They never put the ball in play. Tennessee got 3 outs, but they scored. Next half inning, Tennessee comes up to bat. I can't remember who batted first. They were out. Andrew Fisher hits a scorcher off the wall in left center field, gets a double out of it, misses a home run, probably 2 feet. Next batter, Hunter Inslee hits a just scorcher to right field so hard that Fisher can't score from second. So you got runners at first and third, 1 out. What do the next two batters do? Strikeout, strikeout. Never even put the ball in play. Auburn didn't get a hit, scored a run. Tennessee got two hard hit ball. I mean, really hard hit balls. I'd like to see the exit velocity on those on TrackMan, and didn't get anything. And that's how it's going right now for Tennessee. They just can't seem to string anything together. The no one, not one area or facet of the game is complementing the other. If the pitching's struggling, they're not hitting the ball. If the fielding's struggling, they're not doing something else. If they're hitting the ball, they can't. They make a base running mistake. If they're pitching well, Dean Curley or somebody else makes a bad error. The bullpen's not picking up the starters right now. I think the two most disappointing players on this team right now, by far, head and shoulders above everybody else, is Dean Curley and Nate Snead. Dean Curley is struggling at the plate. He's struggling in the field. They're moving him around all over the place constantly. They got more of a set lineup this weekend than they've had in a while. And Nate Snead, he's just struggling. I thought he was going to be our, not maybe lockdown closer, but our closer this year. And he just can't. He's not fooling anybody right now, is what I told Thomas on Sunday when we were sitting there. And Thomas made a good point. For a guy that throws really hard, has high velo, he doesn't strike many people out. And I think it's just because he's struggling with his secondary pitches right now. But um, there's a few guys that are playing well. Cannon Peebles, I think he's playing pretty well right now. Um, Out of the bullpen, Krenzel has thrown well. I think the starters, Doyle and Freeman, have thrown well or good enough. I mean, they're not. Doyle is our ace and potential first, second round draft pick. But Freeman's a solid pitcher, but we don't have that Dolander, Beam, Burns type pitcher out there on the mound right now. Now, I'm not saying these guys can't be. They've got all the talent in the world, like the rest of the team. But for whatever reason, this team over the last month, starting with that Texas A&M game on Saturday, that Saturday that they played, they've they're having a hard time hitting the ball. They're having a hard time putting complete games together. And the only ones they really have are a couple at Ole Miss and the Saturday night game at LSU. Other than that, Liam Doyle on Friday nights is willing them to victories. And I'm concerned with them, Harbin. I don't know with the way they're playing right now, and they can turn it around. I mean, they were the last undefeated team in college baseball this year. So that should tell you all you need to know right there. They've got talent. It's a lot of young, raw talent. Tony Vitello kind of said this the other day that some of them their baseball IQ is not there yet, and I kind of question that. I'm like, well, these guys are 18, 19 years old now. Where when will their baseball IQ go up? Because usually by this point, the basics, ins and outs of the game. You're still learning. I get that, and this is a different level than high school or travel ball, but they've got a lot of things to figure out. The last 2 weekends of the season, you're hosting Vanderbilt this weekend. You're on the road at Arkansas, which you're going to be walking into a hornet's nest out there because those people do not like us, especially in the baseball world. And they're kind of in trouble right now. If they want to host at home anytime, they gotta win 2 out of 3 this weekend and figure out how to win 2 out of 3 at Arkansas. I'm afraid they won't if they don't.
Oh, there's zero chance that we host if we lose two more series. I mean, barring they get hot and win the SEC tournament. Um, I don't want to overreact and say we've fallen off a cliff, but it feels that way. And it's not like it's one or two guys dragging us down, or it's one facet of the game that's like, oh, we just need a spark. It's quite literally everything.
Hmm.
And Sunday morning, when they resumed play for game two, when it was in extra innings and both benches cleared, nothing happened, just a whole lot of jawing after that guy was tagged out at home. Right after that is when we got the walk-off hit to win game two. And I was sitting there thinking the combination of those two things may be the spark that we needed. Because everybody knows Vitello thrives off of stuff like that, and he leads like that. When we're rolling, we're kind of running our mouths, wearing our heart on our sleeves, stuff like that. And we haven't seen any of that because they haven't had an opportunity to do so. So with the combination of that in a 20 to 25 minute span, I was sitting there thinking like this could be the catalyst to win a series and get some momentum. But you resume play an hour later and get absolutely dog walked. You let Auburn tee off on you and you get absolutely nothing going on the offensive end. And there goes that theory. I mean, it's a bad combo when you can't hit. Your starters do fairly well. Your bullpen just sucks right now. I'm not saying they suck in general. They suck right now. And when you do have decent pitching, you have 2 to 3 errors a game. Like, it's a bad combo.
Yeah.
It's it's literally every facet. And maybe they're trying too hard to dig themselves out of the slump. All of them. Because they're probably looking at each other and you can't do any finger pointing. Nobody can. I mean, like you said, Liam Doyle has been very, very, very good. But nobody else can point at a couple guys and be like, you need to step your shit up. I don't know. And I kind of chuckled when you said, I'm a little concerned now. I think we're past the point of concern. I'm not trying to overreact and sound spoiled because we did win a national championship last year. And let's not act like this baseball program and its history has a rich history. I mean, we've had stints where we've been pretty good before. This is the golden era of Tennessee baseball. And I understand like going back to back is extremely tough. And if we don't go back to back, it's not like it's the end of the world. But you start the season 21-0 or 20-0, whatever it was, and right now you're sitting at, is it 13-11 in SEC play?
14-10.
14-10. I mean, yeah, the SEC is the hardest conference in baseball, but hell, like defending national champs, you better. I mean, early in the season, we were talking about this roster may be better than last year's. Boy, do we look like idiots on that as of right now, May 7th. I don't know. They need to do some soul searching. I'm calling them out. I don't know. Hopefully, they can respond to that because I know we've got all the talent in the world. I know they're more than capable of it. There just needs to be a switch flipped in quite literally every facet. So it's kind of mind blowing, to be honest
Well,
with you.
I'm hoping this past weekend was a wake up call for him. If the previous, like, you went to LSU, which is a hard place to play, it was number 6 versus number 7. You lost two, well, one game you should have won. You came back and responded well the next night, blew them out, but then you just no showed on Sunday. Didn't even compete. And then you come, I think, all right, they're going to come home, but then nothing goes your way at home. The weather's against you. Your coach makes a bizarre decision to start the game, which we'll talk about in a second. And it just throws everything out of whack. And it felt like they were playing behind the 8 ball all weekend. But I'm still sitting there thinking, like, Auburn's a horrible road team. I think I'm looking at their record now. They're 6-9 on the road. So it means they were 4-8 on the road coming into this weekend. And pretty much in two of the three games, they dominated Tennessee. And Auburn's a good baseball team. They're 33-15, 13-11 in the conference. They're a top 10, 15 program. I don't know where they're ranked this week. But I would have thought that, Tennessee's back at home. Let's take advantage of it. They didn't, and they've not done that. They've been bad at home for some reason. Uh, this year. I don't know what it is. And on Friday night, or sorry, Saturday, when I was watching the game, I said this to myself and saw others tweeting it. And then I talked myself out of it that I was like, man, these guys just, Tennessee baseball was built on passion, under Vitello, passion, energy, big moments. None of that's happening right now. And I kept sitting there saying, do these guys care? Are they spoiled? Are they just going through the motions, expecting like, oh, we'll just roll the ball out here and we'll win? I saw it happen. This isn't. I'm comparing apples to oranges here, hard, but we didn't get to record last week because I was announcing the district tournament at Carter. Carter was the 1 seed, beats Cott County in the first round 6-1. Really not a competitive game. Cott County's not very good. Carter loses to Seymour, has to drop down and play Cott County in an elimination game, and completely no shows. And if anybody's listening to this that plays or coaches there, not taking a shot at anybody, let's just call it what it is, though. They no showed. They played awful and lost 7-1 to a team they beat 6-1, 15-2, and 6-0 during the season. And then you turn around and lose 7-1. And I'm not saying they weren't trying, but I think I walked down on the field, the energy on Cott County's sideline compared to Carter's dugout, not sideline, side of the field, you could see it and hear it and feel it. Like those people, they wanted it. They were excited. They were giving off a lot of energy to their team, and the Carter sideline was sleepwalking. And for whatever reason, I don't know. So I'm saying that to compare, like, was Tennessee sleepwalking a little bit this weekend? They shouldn't have been, but were they? And then when they came out and they played a lot better, somewhat better in that second game, left a ton of guys on base. I don't think that they're not trying and they're low energy, as Trump would say, but something just right now is not clicking with these guys. And I don't think it's a, somebody asked me, or you think there's like some team infighting? I don't think it's anything like that. I just think they're a very young team with a lot of raw talent, and they're making a lot of mistakes right now, and they don't have a Drew Beam, a uh, uh, Christian Moore, Blake Burke type guys. I mean, they've got Hunter Ensley, but he's one man. Like they had a whole team of them last year, guys that would come up and get a big get a big hit or make a big play or spark something, and they're just not getting that right now from anybody. I mean, it's like I said, it's not just like you said, it's not just one thing. It's a lot of different areas, and they've got to figure it out if they want to at least host the first. I think hosting a super regional, unless the seeding falls where teams lose, I think that's pretty much out of the question at this point. But I don't want to sit here and say all hope is lost. I mean, when you look at the schedule or the standings, Tennessee, yes, they're 5 games out of first place, but they're just one game out of being in third. They're just 3 games out of being in second. And they play one of those teams. They play Arkansas at 17-7, who's playing really good baseball right now. They play them in 2 weekends. What if they go out there and take 2 out of 3 and Arkansas slips up this weekend against whoever they play? It can happen. So they just got to figure it out, win 2 out of 3 and 2 out of 3, and it'll make everybody feel a lot more confident going in to the postseason. But even if they do that, I still have a lot of questions about this team. The hitting's been inconsistent. The bullpen's not great. Starting pitching's all right. The fielding's not been great, but they all have. I mean, you sit here and look at their numbers. They're 38-11. We're talking Harb about a team that's 38-11. They've won 38 of 49 games they've played. That's pretty good. But here lately, they've
Yeah,
not been pretty good.
I'd say they're 17-11 in the last 28, though.
Hmm. Yeah, you can break it down. I mean, I'm just talking
And,
like the
and
whole
that's
picture.
right, yeah. And we can also break down the last 15 games
Yeah.
too, in particular. Like, I mean, it's you can have 7 different views in the same house depending on which window you look out of. And
Yeah.
like the season as a whole, it's been pretty good. Been pretty good. Well, as of right now, no recency bias involved. Give me a lettered grade on the season as of today.
As of today.
The
I
season as a whole right now.
I would say overall a C plus. And that's because of how they've played the last month. Because when you put it all together, 38-11, pretty good. But they've lost games they shouldn't have in that stretch. So they could be better. And I'm maybe being a little too hard on them at C plus, but I think they could easily bump up a letter grade if they play well this weekend, in my opinion. But I'm being hard on them like you are. I mean, I think C plus is because this isn't just like a one off thing. This has been over a month now, so I brushed it off a month ago. Walker has been to some games with me, and he was like, "Something's not right with this team." Something. I was like, "Oh, I mean, Texas A&M's got a lot of talent. I'm not worried about it." And then they lost to Kentucky, and I'm like, "Well, Kentucky's an NCAA tournament team. Not worried about that." But then they went down to LSU. They went to Ole Miss and won 2 out of 3. All right, we're back in the game. We're good. Then they lost to LSU 2 out of 3. And then they've lost to Auburn 2 out of 3. And doubt starts creeping into your mind. Like, are they overrated? Are they not as talented as we thought? I don't think they're not talented. I mean, they had the number 2 recruiting class in the country, so these guys are talented, but they've got some issues right now. And but when you look at who I was telling Thomas this on Sunday, when you look at who they've lost to, Texas A&M, LSU, Auburn, and Kentucky, all projected in the NCAA tournament. So it's not like they're bad losses. It's just we're not used to that here recently at Tennessee, and it looks totally different than the teams we've seen in the past. Even like you go back to 23, we did not start off the SEC season very well, but the team turned a corner, got better, and kept it rolling into the postseason. This is kind of like flipped this season where we started off hot as a firecracker and we're struggling right now. And it's you don't want to struggle going into the postseason. Now, they got time to turn it around, but they're quickly running out of it.
Yeah, you can make a lot of things right by winning these last two series and putting on a pretty good showing in the SEC tournament. I'm not saying you have to win it, but just look like you have a pulse. Um, just have some momentum and try to salvage hosting a regional at this point, which is crazy to think about if we were to say this 6 weeks ago. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, not all is lost, but the way it feels right now, like they've got a lot of stuff to figure out.
Yeah.
A lot. And maybe one or two things could change the momentum of everything, you know? I don't know what those things are. If I did, I'd be making more money than what I am right now. But I don't know. I would agree with your current C plus grade. Um, but yeah, you could easily turn this going into the NCAA tournament into a B plus A minus,
Hmm.
even with this huge ass lull that they're in. But like you said, there is time, but you better start now or very, very soon.
Yeah. Because time's running out. I wanted to bring this up really quick. And I've not seen Tony Vitello address this. I don't know that I even heard anybody ask him this, but the decision to play Friday night, I mentioned it earlier, a lot of weather moving through Friday afternoon, heavy rain, thunderstorms. The decision to play Friday night was so bizarre to me. And I keep trying to run it through my head like, what were they trying to accomplish? What were they thinking? And that was one reason I think that the weekend turned out the way it did was because of their decision to play on Friday night. Because we ended up playing an entire game against their ace, and we didn't have our ace to counter him. Tegan Coons is a very good pitcher. He's young. He's going to be good here. We've got some good young arms out there, but they're also Tegan Coons is a freshman. This Dutton guy, I think was his name. Good grief, what a last name, Harb Dutton. Um, but we didn't have our ace out there. We basically burned him and blew him for no reason on Friday night. And when you look into the SEC rules govern that the home team has the right to say whether a game's going to start or not because of weather. So Tony Vitello and whoever the game day staff is at UT gave the go ahead to start this game. I mean, I got to think they were looking at the radar and the forecast and the future cast that was coming through. It's just bizarre to me that they even attempted to start this game because when the game started, it was an absolute monsoon. Like you couldn't hardly see. I didn't go. I'm not sitting in that. You couldn't hardly see the ball being thrown on camera on TV. It was raining so hard. I could not believe they started that game. My dad kept sitting here, he's like, "What are we doing? Why are we playing?" And it was so. I keep using the word bizarre because I don't understand, and I've never heard a reason. I don't understand what they were thinking, but I don't blame Tony Vitello a whole lot. But that's on him. I mean, it's just a bizarre decision, head scratching, whatever you want to call it. And Tony should be questioned for that. I don't know what he was thinking. It's not the whole reason that we lost the series, but it started you off on such a bad foot because now you're starting your number three slash number four pitcher on Saturday morning, and then you're coming back with your number two guy Saturday afternoon. Well, what do you do on Sunday? You're going to throw your number three slash number four, who's coming off Tommy John, who they're only letting throw 2 or 3 innings. Now, I mean, it was a 7 inning game, so they kind of got away with that one, and they got away with it a little bit with Doyle because he was able to come back and throw a couple innings on Sunday at 1 o'clock in game number two that was delayed. So I don't know. I just felt like there needed to be a little more scrutiny on Tony Vitello for that decision. And there was scrutiny, but no one ever asked him about it that I've seen. And it's not really even been a talking point. I just, I'm not saying they lost the game because they didn't have Liam Doyle out there, but you were playing with one arm tied behind your back in that game because Auburn's guy is good. Their number one guy, Dutton, is very good. I don't know, Harb. What do you think? What do you think about that?
Yeah, it is a head scratcher because if you were out and about, or you didn't even have to be out and about. Friday night, the weather was putrid, and Saturday night it was not much better. Like it was, the forecast was all weekend. So if they were looking at the radar, I don't know which one they were looking at. To be honest with you, and like you said, um, you throw Liam Doyle out there, who's pretty much our lifeline currently,
Mhm.
and the mound's soaking wet. You know, not saying that's why I gave up a 2-run bomb. I mean, hell, that could happen when it's 80 and sunny out. But then, as soon as we go to bat, game they call the game, so we're going to resume on Saturday. You're making all the correct points. Like, why did we choose to start it? And I heavily doubt that decision was 100% on Vitell. I'm sure he's got a guy or two that's like, in special circumstances like that, saying, start the game or we need to hold off till tomorrow. Whatever it was bad info. And like you said, do we win the series if we started on Saturday? Maybe. Probably not. I don't know.
You don't know.
You have no idea, and we'll never know. That's fine, and we lost it. So that's point blank period right there. But you get Landul in a huge series for us. You get him for a total of what, 3 innings?
Yes.
Yeah, you get him for a total of 3 innings. That right there, I don't want to call it inexcusable, but it almost falls under the malpractice.
Yeah.
Like it's why? Like if you have anybody else starting, I could maybe see the mindset behind it. Like if it was Saturday, for example, just flip flop days. Like if we have our 3 or 4 guys starting, it's like, yeah, whatever, go for it. But it's not. I don't know. I mean, you bring up good points, and it's also a little confusing why nobody else has brought it up, or at least to Tony Vitello during a press conference. But I don't know. It might just be water under the bridge at this point. No pun intended. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
don't know. And maybe somebody did, and I've just not, like I said, I've just not seen it. But they post the post game media availabilities. They're basically under Lindsey Nelson Stadium in the batting cages, talking to Tony Vitello, and I never. I mean, they ask about them playing on Friday, 1 inning, and how'd that set them back, but nobody ever said like, what were you thinking? What went into this decision? Like, why? Like, I never have heard that. And I would love to know why. Love to get Tony Vitello on here and ask him that. But that's probably not going to happen right now. So, anyways, I just, that was bizarre. Like, I can't stop saying that word. It just, like, I don't, working in the sports world and knowing what I do about baseball fields and mounds with that kind of weather coming in, I can't believe that the grounds crew let him go out there and play. And I mean, did the grounds crew not go up to him and say, "Hey, we've got some rain moving in at 8:05, and it's going to be pretty heavy for like 3.5 hours." Oh yeah, let's go ahead and start and see what we can get in. Well, we're going to get like a half inning in, which is what they did. Why? Why even go out there and start? I don't understand that, but I also don't. I don't know what's he making now. Three, $2 or $3 million. I don't know. That's why he makes $2 or $3 million to make those calls, along with the guys that are on the grounds crew. And I'm sorry to say, but they screwed up. They made a bad call. They got bad info, like you said. Something went into that decision, and it was not good. It was not good. But again, I don't know if they would have won the series, but it sucks because you didn't have your guy out there to see if he could win it for him. But anyways, Tennessee's moving on to play Vandy this weekend at home. Last home SEC series, only four SEC home game or four home games left. Three against Vandy, and I think they play Belmont next Tuesday, the last home game, regular season home game. Like we said, Tennessee is. I saw the latest projections on D1 baseball. They have Tennessee as the number 15 overall seed. They're hanging on by a thread here of hosting just the first weekend. Don't even bring up the second weekend. So they got a lot of work to do, and I hope and pray they figure it out this weekend because we already lost 2 out of 3 to Vandy. We lost 2 out of 3 to Auburn, and I had to listen to that crap all weekend. I don't want to lose 2 out of 3 to Vandy, so they got to figure out a way to win this. Hard before we go, I wanted to bring up really quickly. We talked a lot about Tennessee basketball this offseason because there's been a lot of news surrounding him, and there was some more since we've been on here last. Rod Clark, assistant coach, has decided to take his talents to Indiana University to be an assistant coach up there. So he's no longer with the team, and this happened while Tennessee Athletics was on the Big Orange Caravan, which goes around the state to the major cities, and they host roundtables, and the coaches go. And they asked Barnes about it the day it happened. He's like, "We're not worried about it. We'll have it figured out." Literally within 24 hours, they hired a new coach, and it's kind of like you just see Rick Barnes a smirk on his face when he announces the hire. Amaro Morgan
Okay.
is the guy's name. I'm trying to look up his profile here. He was 5 days ago, assistant basketball coach. 12 years of collegiate coaching experience, including 8 years at the Division I level. He's worked for the last 2 seasons with the California Golden Bears. Um, I don't know much about this guy. I haven't really read much about him. That's for another time and day. But Rick Barnes likes him, so maybe we should like him hard.
If he likes him, I like him.
Younger guy, and I like that hire for Barnes. Barnes is 70 years old now. Hired a younger guy. I think this guy's 30 or something like that. So, keeping the staff young, keeping that good balance. He's the old general. He's got some younger sergeants under him to good cop, bad cop type of deal things there. I like that hire. There's also, I think recruiting is pretty much over, transfer portal, all that. Have you seen these videos and pictures that Jordan Gainey keeps posting? Kind of cryptic, pretty much insinuating that he's coming back for a fifth season. They need him. They need one more player in the backcourt. I still think they're probably one scorer slash shooter short of being probably a Final Four type team next year. Not saying they're not good. They're going to be very good. Um, but having Gainey back would be huge for this team next year if he's able to apply and get a fifth year, or this court ruling gives him a fifth year.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know exactly how he could apply and get one
I
because
don't
he
know.
played 2 years at upstate and 2 years here, correct?
Yes.
Um, I would assume that he's banking on the court ruling to give all college athletes 5 years of eligibility. And I doubt that he would, which I don't know. I'm just assuming on this. I doubt he'd be going through all this if somebody hadn't given him some pretty good info as to how this could potentially go. And this may be an unpopular opinion. I would love to have Jordan Gainey on the roster next year. He'd
I,
be
would-
absolutely massive for us.
I agree.
But at what point is enough enough? Not just with Gainey, just automatically giving guys 5 years. I mean, shit. You'll have if this happens, if you give guys 5 years of eligibility along with the already standing ruling of JUCO not counting towards college eligibility, if a guy doesn't get hurt, he can play 7 years of college athletics.
Yeah.
You're regularly gonna have 25 and 26-year-olds on a college court or field or whatever sport they may play. That's not college.
It's
And
not.
it's really not college anymore anyway, which I think the NIL is going to get cracked down on in the next year or two because it's the wild, wild west. Everybody knows that. But I don't know. I just don't see how anybody that's a fan of college athletics can be happy with JUCO being able to play 2 years of JUCO with no eligibility taken away from you, and you get 5 years. Because there's going to be a lot of guys that do that. Because
Yeah.
if both of these happen, if you're a pretty big name prospect, but you don't necessarily get the offers you want, or if you're a gym rat and you're like, oh well, I could go to Kent State and get an education and maybe transfer up and play somewhere decent for a couple years, or I could go to JUCO and just work my tail off and start all over again in 24 months. And I have 5 more years on top of that. I hate it personally.
I do too. I agree with you. We've
Yeah,
been talking about this for a while. It's not college sports. It's just not.
no. And just to reiterate what I said, Jordan Gainey on the roster for 25-26 would be absolutely awesome for what this team's trying to accomplish and like you said, the one more hole that we need to fill. He'd fit it perfectly, along with being a veteran. But for the little bit of sake that's remaining for college athletics, nothing personal towards him whatsoever. I don't want it to happen. I just don't. Like, it was funny with the jokes about John Fulkerson being here for a million years. He was here for 5,
Yeah.
or maybe just 4. I think he was here for 5. Yeah, he was
He
here for
was he
5.
was here for 5.
Yeah, um, that's going to be the norm. Outside of the guys that are going to be like lottery picks or draft picks in football, I just heavily disagree with it. I just do. This kind of feels like the NCAA's last gasp at pissing everybody off because they feel like their power is diminishing. So I feel like they're just going to try to make every wrong decision on their way out.
Maybe so.
They're doing a pretty good job of it. I'll give
They're
them
off
that.
to they're off to a good start.
Give them that. And uh, while we're on topic, uh, knock out your political views or your collegiate alliances. Last week, Nick Saban met with current President Trump about NIL and the current state of it because Trump was at Alabama's commencement speech for graduation, or he did their commencement. They met about the current lay of the land for NIL, and Nick Saban gave his viewpoints on it, and Trump listened. He was talking about signing an executive order to kind of nerf NIL, which that's a whole different topic for another day. I'm not touching that part of it. But I mean, you can hate Nick Saban. I do. He ruined my childhood. But what I mean, the dude loves college athletics and college football. And that is one thing that him and everyone that listens to this podcast has in common. And he actually cares about it. And I, I think he's trying to do the correct things to try to salvage what's left of it and try to get it steered back in the correct direction. So I do respect him for doing his part. But I
This
mean, the whole thing's crazy. Like, if you got to meet with the damn president about college athletes getting paid to play sports, you know you're in too deep.
So this, I don't know if you saw this, Harb. I'm bringing it up because you brought it up, but it came out earlier today. I just looked it up here and saw it. President Trump is aiming to create a commission on college sports, and the reports are that Nick Saban will be co-chair of that said committee. So,
That's what we've said for years.
right.
And like this was so predictable. Not the fact that the president got involved, but we've always said that once college football in particular breaks off from the NCAA, I believe we said a year or two ago there's going to be two leagues, either North and South or Big Ten and SEC, whatever the AFC and NFC. That's exactly what it's going to be.
Yeah.
Um, and if they have two commissioners, Nick Saban's going to be the one that represents this general region. Like it's been obvious for 2 years now.
Yeah.
But the sad thing is, like, it's needed. Like, it's extremely necessary at this point. And I don't know if you'll have different commissioners for different sports. Maybe you'll have a head governor or two head governors, like you said, co chair and whatnot. And then you'll have, like, I don't know, I'm like this is mostly facetious, but like Secretary of State and like just delegate things for like Secretary of Football, Secretary of Basketball, baseball. Like it's ridiculous.
You know who I would put in charge of college basketball if and when he retires? Is Rick Barnes.
Dick Vitale. Oh,
No, not Dick Vitale.
Bill Walton.
No. What? No, seriously, Rick Barnes. Have you ever like listened to him talk about rules and how the game should
Yeah,
be administered? The guy's smart, knows what he's talking about. I would definitely
he's
let me
very well respected amongst the country.
correct. I would definitely, yeah, I could put him in the same, not same coaching ilk. Don't let me get this. Don't let this confuse you. But I'd put him up there with Nick Saban on how he would want to see college sports administered, is what I'm trying to say. Not saying Saban and Barnes are in the same categories. They're both
Right.
great coaches. Saban's got a little more hardware than Rick Barnes does. But anyways, that's topic for another time and another day. But that's something to watch as we go forward the next couple years because it's not going away. And all this NIL craziness and stuff, we've been talking about where does it end? We're worried about it coming to the high school level at some point, but it is what it is, Harb. But Harb, that's all I've got. I'm gonna end this show so you can go have another White Claw, calm down.
I'm
Uh,
cool, man.
you're done.
Yeah, it is what it is. It does hurt seeing the Thunder be up 33 with 37 seconds left in the first half because they also lost their first game at home. And that's just what the Celtics were supposed to do tonight. And that's what
Yeah.
they were expected to do. But also Cleveland did the exact same thing to the Pacers. I know you like to pretend boycott the NBA and all that good jazz. Act like the NBA is unbearable to watch. These playoffs have been absolutely incredible. And if you are like Nice out there and you're not watching the NBA playoffs, I heavily encourage you to do so because they have been much better than anticipated. By the way, the first round of the NBA playoffs had the highest viewership in 25 years this year. So yeah, the NBA's dying. It's dead.
I
Full
actually
circle.
watched the oh gosh, the Cavs. Who are they playing? Golly.
Pacers.
Pacers. I actually watched that game. Was that last night? Yes, last night
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
Tyrese Halliburton of big WWE fan, by the way, when he hit that game winner. I mean, the Cavs were up 119 to 117 with like 26 seconds left, something like that, and lost by one. Crazy, but no, I did watch that game.
So wild stat of the day: NBA teams in the history of the postseason are. I'm going to butcher the second number, but they, as of today, are three, and I want to say like 1,620. It's over 1,000. I believe
Hmm.
it's 1,600 something. NBA teams are 3 and 1,600 and something when down by seven or more with a minute left. The Indiana Pacers have won all three of the three, and they have two in 9 days.
Wow.
And the first one is the iconic Reggie Miller, 8 points in 9 seconds. That was in, what was that, 98,
Somewhere in
97,
that frame,
somewhere in that
yes.
general region.
Yes.
And then the second one was when they did it to Milwaukee to close them out a week and a half ago. And the third one was the one we just talked about. Just absolutely insane. And
I'm looking here at the bracket. It says the Celtics for game three are favored by 5.5. I don't know if that gives you any,
Garden's going to be rocking on Saturday. Madison Square Garden.
not the Boston Garden,
No, Madison Square Garden.
the Mecca.
The one in New York.
Yes.
One in New York.
The Mecca.
It's going to be rocking. I was watching NBA on TNT before we started recording. Shaq or Kenny made a great point. They're like, "Why is that game at 3:30? That game deserves to be a night game."
Yeah.
But I mean, I hate New York fans as much, if not more than anybody. They're crazy, and they just stole 2 games in Boston. That place is going to be rocking if they played at 7 a.m. and put it on PBS. Like that place is going to be wild. And the Celtics have weirdly been a better road team than a home team this year, if you look at the numbers. So it's not over. I expect them to win game three, but I also expected them to win tonight handedly. You never know. Uh,
You never know when a Boston team and a New York team play each other. You never know.
so 6 straight years the defending champ in the NBA have lost in the second round. The Celtics.
Really? Wow.
Yep. The last team to repeat was when Kevin Durant went to the Warriors. That's the last repeat champion.
It's been a while.
Yep. 17 and 18. So Celtics are trying to break that mold, but by God, they shot themselves in the foot. But also the Cavs are trying not to blow it against the Pacers. So there's a lot going on. More than likely, Denver OKC is going to be tied up 1-1 going back to Denver. Uh, and you've got Golden State up 1-0 on Minnesota, but Steph Curry's going to be out for at least a week. He got injured last night in their game. So all 4 series right now, there's a ton of headlines. It's phenomenal basketball to watch outside the Celtics missing 5,000 threes, which is extremely irritating. But yeah, it's been fun. So if you haven't watched yet, catch up now. Right in the thick of it.
Harp says to tune in. So speaking of tuning in, remember to watch any of our podcasts or listen to us. You have several options. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcast, anywhere you listen to podcasts, basically, you can hear us. If you're driving, traveling, exercising, whatever, or if you want to watch us, you're sitting at home or you've got YouTube pulled up on your computer at work. Look for us there on the YouTube channel. Harb, the other night on Cinco de Mayo, I went to Amigos and Jordan Bowden was there, former guest on the show, former Hornet, friend of the show, friend of us. Said hey to him very briefly. He was there with his family, and so go back, and it was back last summer. Harb and I had Jordan on. And for those who don't know who Jordan Bowden are, shame on you. But Jordan Bowden, former Carter Hornet, former Tennessee Vol, was on some great Tennessee basketball teams in the late 2010s, 20 teens, whatever you want to call it. But we sat down with him and interviewed him. He was actually up in, I believe it was what, Montreal at the time, Harb, when we talked to him. So don't know I didn't really talk to him about what his plans are. We just said, hey, and we went about our own ways. But go back and listen to that. It was a great interview, great time to catch up with Jordan Bowden, who was on some really good teams with Grant Williams and Schofield and Jordan Bone, all those guys. So really good insight into where he was at the time and kind of what he's been up to since leaving UT and what it was like to play for Rick Barnes and what it was like to be at Carter High School on two of the probably best teams in school history, state tournament appearances, scoring 100 points every night. Just an interesting conversation to talk to him. So go back and watch that one. I'll post it at some point again. But you can watch any of our videos, pot episodes on YouTube. So be sure to check us out there, like, subscribe, comment, share, whatever you need to do. But appreciate y'all listening. Um, Hope to be back next week. Hopefully, after a Tennessee series win against Vanderbilt, Harbin. They need it. They need it, and I want it.
Absolutely. I don't know if I need it or want it, but it'd be nice.
You need a Celtics win and a Vols series win.
I need a Celtics win badly. Absolutely badly.
Um, Straw Plains Open Invitational's coming up here in a few weeks. Are you getting ready? You preparing?
Absolutely. Yeah. I've been grinding. Actually went out a little bit today, worked on some things. I fixed a couple things, made a couple things worse. That's what we call golf. But I'll be locked and loaded. The fun car is leaving early Wednesday morning. Huge addition since our friend of the show and recurring member of the trip, Caleb Underwood, can't go. We threw Paul in. We threw Paul into our car, so that's about as
Paul.
that's about as good of a replacement. The wise man,
Mhm. Yes.
as good of a replacement as you can get. So
Yes.
forward to it. It's gonna be a blast as always.
I've got a practice round on Saturday and getting adding some new tools to the tool chest, toolbox, Harb. So gonna hopefully get those by practice round Saturday so I can start working on them a little bit. We'll see. But yeah, it's coming up here in about 3 weeks. We'll be heading to Pawleys Island in South Carolina to play some golf for 3 or 4 days, amongst other things. Not
Yes.
just golf. There's going to be a lot of other stuff going on, but golf
Well,
is part of the adventure.
uh,
Can't wait. But, anyways, appreciate everybody listening. Harb, glad you could come on under the circumstances of the Celtics losing. Well, hopefully next week we'll have some better news as far as the Celtics go for you. But I'm gonna try to tune in when I can this weekend and watch Harb. I've been trying to watch. I've just not been at home much to sit down and watch. But I did watch the Cavs and Pacers. Not all of the game, but I watched I think 3/4 of it last night. So
good.
I'm trying, Harb. I'm really am trying.
I hear you.
It's just hard. But anyways, appreciate everybody listening. Go Vols, JWTDG. Hashtag it when you tweet about something. If you're at Lindsey Nelson Stadium this weekend, I don't know what games I'll be there, but I might be there for a couple of them. So um, if you see me, recognize me, say, hey, love the podcast, hate it, go F yourself, whatever.
What?
What? But remember, hashtag JWTDG. For Harb, I'm Negative Niece. You've been listening to the Section YY8 podcast.